that I don't want Thorin in there, but I need to be like in the middle. So hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Jules, and I'm designing an entire theme park that's based on United States urban legends called Urban Legends America. Over the years, I have been really focused on the details, especially for this channel in general. I was doing a lot of concept work that was based on attractions, events that would be in the park, or even just like right down to the food. But today I actually wanted to zoom out from all the details and specific things that are in the park. Basically, I am challenging myself to make the entire foundation of this theme park in this video. And really, that means that I'm gonna try to do it all in one sitting. So it's just gonna be really loose, just no overthinking. And if it is a failure and something doesn't look right, or it just doesn't look polished, then it doesn't matter because this is just the bare bones. More importantly, I have been putting off this map from the very beginning that I started this project, and it has been years. So definitely procrastinated to the point where it is its own monster, unfortunately. So today we are embracing imperfection and even, scarily enough, failure. So really, this is all about brainstorming, laying out the foundation, as I've said before, and just kind of giving a general feel and idea of the park without actually trying to zoom in too much. I bet you I will get a little carried away because I like the detail so much, but hopefully you'll get a feel of this entire park without really having to make too much or go a little too crazy. So, okay, let's get started. Okay, let's talk big picture. If I had to pitch Urban Legends America in one sentence, I guess it would be like this: a celebration of diverse cultures that make up the United States, told through the lens of folklore and urban legends. So, I want guests to actually be stepping into these legends rather than just hearing them. So, in essence, they become the actual urban legend, or they become part of the urban legend now. So that's the idea, but how would it visually look? What's the structure of this entire place? That comes the map. So let's actually get into that. From the beginning, I've always imagined this park using a hub and spokes layout. This means a single main entrance leading into a central hub with pathways branching outward like spokes on a wheel. And that's where I'm starting right now, like dead center. At the center is the park's weenie. This is the visual icon that draws guests in. It's also a way to help guests navigate back to the entrance. It's basically anything that you can see from anywhere in the park and is a navigational tool. So for my park, the icon is the Carousel of Legends. I get into more detail about the icon and actually have a few videos on the concept art. It's a unifying space, a place where all of these stories come together before guests branch off into different regions of the country. So yes, I'm using the carousel as a central figure along with like a general hub, but I will get into more detail when we talk about the other sections. So that being said, from there, each land represents a different part of the United States. For this exercise, I'm keeping things intentionally loose. This is about understanding the space and how each area connects, not locking in every detail. Since this is Urban Legends America, I'm organizing the lands by environment rather than strict geography. The US is massive and every region has its own stories, so this approach lets me create strong visual identities while still showcasing a wide range of legends. Some things will inevitably be left out, but the goal is to capture the essence of each area. One thing I also want to be really intentional about with this layout is transitions. Because each land represents such a distinct environment, the way guests move between them is just as important as the lands themselves. I don't want it to feel like you're just stepping from one area into another. I want it to feel like you're actually traveling across the country. So each transition space will act almost like a buffer. So this is a shift in foliage, adjusting the lighting and sound, and slowly introducing new textures and architecture. That way, by the time you fully enter a land, you've already been eased into it without even realizing it. It makes the world feel more cohesive and helps maintain immersion even with such drastically different environments. So let's get into these lands, shall we? The Northeast is inspired by coastal towns and classic seaside amusement parks. The Northeast is I envisioned as the entrance and hub area. It's where I grew up, and so I think that this was just a way for me to be able to put it at the center. And when I started this project, it kind of just made sense in my brain to basically start where I was living. So the Northeast is inspired by coastal towns and classic seaside amusement parks. Think a blend of places like Coney Island, Luna Park, and Wonderland, full of vintage charm and a slightly eerie nostalgia. This area sits at the entrance and connects directly to the hub, which draws inspiration from spaces like Central Park and Boston Public Garden. It's lively, it's familiar, but there's something just a little off. This land leans heavily into sea legends and maritime folklore. Next up, we are looking at Appalachia. This area is all about dense forests, mountains, and isolated mining towns. It has a more enclosed, tucked away feeling, almost like a hidden cove. Here you'll find stories rooted in ghost towns, mining disasters, and deep forest folklore. Visually, I imagine a mountain acting as a major focal point, something ride-based similar to the scale of a Big Thunder Mountain in Magic Kingdom in Disneyland. So I do want to have each land have its own icon per se. It's not going to be as big, I guess. I'm still kind of working with how big I want to make the actual central icon, but having each area have its own icon is also a way to help guests navigate to those lands as well. Next up, I'm thinking of a southern bayou. You can't have a spooky park with some New Orleans influence. This land is set in a humid, sprawling swamp environment. It's home to legends like the Rougarou, swamp creatures, and southern Gothic vampires. The goal here and across the entire park is to create dramatic environmental shifts. Each land should feel completely distinct the moment you step into it. Alrighty, let's talk about the Midwest. This is definitely the most challenging region for me. It's flat, open, and expansive, which is difficult to translate into a theme park without breaking immersion. Again, this is coming from somebody who actually hasn't visited these areas, but uses pictures and other visuals online and the most distinct visuals online. So it is really what I guess most people think of when they think of the Midwest, but thematically it is still really interesting. When I think of the Midwest, I think of endless cornfields, small towns, the quiet, unsettling feeling that something isn't quite right. So instead of focusing on spectacle, this land leans into the mundane. It feels grounded, familiar, almost too normal.
Let the foliage do the heavy lifting, keep the architecture simple, because here the horror isn't obvious, it's hidden in everyday life. This one is still evolving, so I genuinely love to hear your input. What would you want to see in a Midwest-themed land?
Before we continue on with the video, I just wanted to give a thank you to my Patreon supporters and also just give you guys an idea of what goes on over there. On my Patreon, you will get early access videos, behind the scenes content, the ability to vote on future projects, monthly discussion posts, and exclusive postcards like these. They basically are a way for me to try a different style, and every postcard highlights a different cryptid or urban legend from every state. So far, we are in New Jersey. So if you're interested in anything like that, I highly suggest that you check out the page. Community is at the center of this entire project, and it's at the heart of everything that I do. And your support truly makes this possible. So thank you to my Patreon supporters, as well as you guys for even considering becoming a folklore enthusiast. All right, that's enough about Patreon. Let's get back to it.
All right, getting back into it, let's tackle the Southwest. The Southwest leans into desert landscapes, alien conspiracies, and ghost towns. This is where you'll find inspiration from places like Area 51, as well as gold rush history and abandoned mining settlements. There's some overlap with Appalachia in terms of mining themes, but this is where the environment does the heavy lifting. Instead of forests, we have rocky terrain, open deserts, sun-bleached structures, and even some canyons. Some concepts, completely different atmosphere. Now we can tackle the Pacific Northwest / Alaska. This region focuses on mountains, forest, and a perpetual winter setting. Because again, we're dealing with a lot of forest. So again, I wanted something that even though it could technically be the same, there's got to be something distinct about the environment that allows guests to know that they're somewhere else. It does share similarities with Appalachia, like Bigfoot-style legends, but stands apart through its climate and tone. This land feels colder, quieter, and more remote. So more we're thinking of snow-covered cabins, mountain towns, and the deep wilderness. This also allows Alaska to be represented, and it expands the scope of the park even further. And last but certainly not least, we have the West Coast / Pacific Islands. This land brings a brighter, more vibrant energy to the park while still holding on to the underlying sense of unease. Inspired by California and Hawaii, it blends lush tropical foliage with bold, sunlit architecture. Palm trees, dense greenery, and vibrant plant life are paired with warm stucco buildings, vintage resorts, and hints of old Hollywood design. It feels alive and inviting, but not entirely modern. There's a sense of timelessness here, like this place exists slightly outside of reality where past and present blur together. The folklore in this land pulls from island legends, ocean mythology, and stories of reinvention, playing into the idea that people came here to start over, but not everything stays buried. Visually, this space allows for a strong contrast. Rich greens from the tropical landscape, bright sun-washed architecture, and open glimpses of sky and water. And as guests move through the land, subtle changes begin to happen. The tropical foliage starts to thin, the architecture becomes more coastal, and slowly, almost without noticing, elements of the northeast boardwalk begins to emerge. This allows the land to gently guide guests back towards the entrance without ever feeling like a transition. Instead, it feels like the coastline itself is evolving, connecting one side of the country to the other. Now let's walk through the park as a guest. From the moment you enter, it feels familiar, like you're stepping into real places across the US. But something is off. There's a subtle sense that something is hiding just out of sight. That curiosity is intentional. The park uses environmental storytelling, sounds, smells, hidden triggers to build unease. Everything looks normal on the surface, but there's always more going on behind it. The deeper you explore through rides, shows, and interactive elements, the more you uncover. Every attraction is telling a story, and the more attention you pay, the more you start to piece something together. What you take away from the experience is entirely up to you. You can engage with it at surface level or dive deeper and start forming your own interpretations. Either way, you've become part of the story.
So, after all that, let's basically talk about why, this park should exist, I guess. This is more, as much as it was like a pitchable thing that I said at the beginning, I want to kind of give you a better understanding of genuinely why I feel like this theme park should exist. And specifically, why urban legends? Out of all the things to basically make a theme park, why would I pick urban legends? Selfishly, it is something that I'm interested in. It was a way of conveying something that I truly enjoyed as a subject. But more importantly, after a while of doing all of this, it was really about people. It's important that any story exists because of people. We tell them to each other. We use them at a basis of basically like anything, a way to connect with one another, a way to teach one another. These stories reflect our history, our cultures, our fears, and like I said before, it's really how we learn from one another. In a way, I wanted the park to basically be a celebration in storytelling, and not in the traditional sense that we see from traditional theme parks, because everything is a basis in storytelling. That's the whole point of theme parks. You tell a story. But this is more so rooted in the richness of that storytelling that makes up our country. So in a way, I still think that it's very important to share those things, because especially with these stories, over time, obviously, as we've had newspapers and the internet, we've been able to share them. But prior to, this was all word of mouth. It would be shared over generations. And while every state has its own urban legends and folklore, and countries at the same way have their type of folklore and stories to tell orally, we have the luxury that we have all these people here that come from everywhere and share that story. And it can be as big as from a country, or it can be as small as something your family kind of grew up in a neighborhood, or just like any type of little, I guess, lie or story that your parents would make up so that you would be safe. So it's all these different things that cultivate this type of culture, and in itself is its own culture. So I just think that this is one of the most fascinating topics for myself, and I want to share it and hopefully find other people that are just as passionate and interested, or maybe not even passionate about it, but actually find out about it and want to dive into it more. Of all that, I actually do think that this exercise was really important for me. I know it's not the most visually interesting thing compared to obviously the other work that I've done, but it's just one of those things where I have put off this project and the actual part of this project for a very, very long time. Going into detail for things and doing other concept work and doing other things was literally just a way for me to avoid it. I've spoke about it in length before that I've really struggled with trying to get this map together in any sense of the word, because I haven't been able to visit those places. And it's very hard for me to actually see these places in a three-dimensional space and where they would work together, because I haven't been to those places in order to see that and see how you walk through those spaces. So I'm not saying that all of a sudden that has changed for me, but just being loose and not being perfect and kind of not really having like a actual well thought out way of structuring those areas and aesthetics, it was more of a breath of fresh air for me, because I felt like for a long time I was like this. I was like, I need to get this perfect. I need it to be exactly the way that I think it should be and what people would want it to be. And I could never really conceptualize like, how broad do I want something to be, or do I really want it to be like super in depth and, you know, everything has to be like a one-to-one recreation of like all these areas. And if I miss out on an area, then I'm misrepresenting, you know, the entirety of the United States. And I'm only giving the spotlight to places that already are well known. And so I'm not saying that I don't still struggle with those things. I do. And even some of these things are probably going to change just because they are so broad, or maybe they just don't fit aesthetically or puzzle piece together and make sense. So it's obviously a work in progress, but it's also one of those things where I just wanted to relax and do something and start something new, especially since I've been doing this for a really long time. So it's really tough to kind of take the things that you've been doing before and either axe them and start over, or use them as stepping stones to get it to a new spot. I hope overall this gives you guys a better understanding of what this project is, or if you've been here for a while, where the project is going. I obviously want to hear from you, and it definitely helps to have people that live in those areas to convey to me what their urban legends are, or how their cities are structured, or anything like that that could be translated into this area, into a theme park area, basically. I would love to hear it in the comments, so please let me know. What would you change? What would you add? And more importantly, what should I do with the Midwest? Do I have anybody from the Midwest? If you can help me try to figure this out with me, it would be greatly appreciated. If you like the music in my videos, I highly suggest that you check out the App Synthetic Orchestra. There is actually a full album of all the music that is used in my videos, so that will be in the description below. If you would like to see more content just like this, I would highly suggest that you like and subscribe, but I also have all my socials like Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest in the description below as well. Okay, until next time, stay safe out there, everybody. Bye-bye. I haven't posted these postcards in a really long time. Yeah. 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 Ooh, 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 ooh. Beggars can't be choosers. My house is on Particular Avenue. My nice creaky chair. Some say it's a because if I face it the other way, you're gonna see. Don't worry about it. Anyway, can't show these ones because that's a secret. Oh, wow, wow. Do you guys like the new hair? I had to get my roots done. And I think she did a really good job. All right, I think I filmed enough. At least for this segment. I'm wondering if I should... No, whatever. Anyway.